Getting set up here, running a couple moments late, and I do apologize. We're going to have to be in this view, unfortunately, because I set it up wrong. Give me a moment. Get my camera all set up here. All right. So do apologize for the angle. I had some issues getting set up. I thought I had it set up properly, and I did not. And now my microphone's not working. Gotta love it. Hold on. Okay, so we are going to just go off of the microphone on the camera. Hopefully everybody can hear. Again, I do apologize for the late delay, but I got back from church, had lunch, and ran out of time. Move that out of the way. And so we are having to adjust on the fly for this live stream. So a little different setup today, and do apologize for this weird angle, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. All right, so let's get everything all started here. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. And I do apologize for the microphone being through the phone, so it's not going to sound the greatest. But it's all that I can do for now. So thumbs up if you can hear me, please, and we'll get started here. All right, sounds fine. All right, good. So how is everybody's Sunday going? Hopefully you're all having a good Sunday, and you're able to just kind of chill and relax, and you're not feeling all like I am. Whoop, 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 woo. That's really sensitive. Trying to zoom in there. That's a little too close. I'm sure you all wanted to see that. Let's see if we can get... Nope. I was hoping to be able to get a little bit better of a view and angle. There we go. That's a little better. Sorry about all the ins and outs and on the camera there. And excuse me a moment. Okay. You go to church for great acoustics. I go to church for fellowshipping in music and in word, and then also for singing and seeing people, and I run the sound to give great acoustics. Hopefully people think that, but yeah. Okay, so several people saying hi. Do appreciate y'all swinging by. And today we had an interesting little situation at church, but nothing that I couldn't handle when it came to sound. It was fun to be able to do all that and engage with people, and I have a younger gentleman that works with me at the sound booth. I'm going to lower my camera. Who is kind of learning the ropes as far as sound goes, and I enjoy showing him all the different things that can be done and should be done. So yeah, learn a lot at church besides what the Word of God says. So how else is everybody else's Sunday going? Anything exciting? Anything that happened this week? And I am feeling a little better, so we should be able to get a video or two out this week instead of being written reviews only. So that was difficult going through the cold. Of course, I am still a little bit under the weather, but seems to be going a little bit better. I'm not coughing near as much as I was. I do apologize for drinking on the live stream. So any questions, comments, concerns? Anything like that? Nice quiet crowd today. Just if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll get to them in the order that they come as best as possible. If I don't answer them in a timely manner, just re-ask it and it'll reappear in the comments and I'll get to them. So this upcoming week for video reviews, we will have one on the 7Hz Timeless 2, and then the written review is still being thought about. Not exactly sure what we'll go with at the moment, and then there may be another video review. Not sure. It depends on how the schedule works out for me with work and church and all that kind of stuff. So do be looking for the 7Hz Timeless 2 review coming up next week for sure. Coming up next week. So any other questions, comments, thoughts, anything like that? Let's see. Remember when Best Buy used to have a home theater room and stereo room to sample the equipment? Yeah, actually I do. I remember when Best Buy had it. There was a couple other stores. I can't remember the names of them now, but there were several. Those were really popular. I loved those. You could go in and try different things, and then they would like swap them out every now and then. You get something new. I went to, I think it was Fry's. They would have several different rooms at one point that you could test out. It was pretty cool, that type of store. I always thought there were more stores in which for like IEM users and for headphone users that were more boutique, you could go in and they would have, rooms set up that you would display, in demo speakers, but then they would have like tables and little listening booths and you could go in and you'd have to bring your own tips in, obviously, to try for IEMs, but you could maybe try it on different gear. I think it would be cool to have a store like that, maybe have it associated with like a coffee shop or a cafe. I've always dreamed of opening one, but I just don't have the money to be able to do that. And in the area that I live, there's not really probably a lot of interest for that, but it'd be cool to see some of those things come about and be started up. And then you could have a place where you could meet and do local audio shows and stuff. That'd be a cool concept. Let's see what else. First time being here. Let's see. First time I'm here during live. I just returned my Hi-Fi and Ananda Nano because of sibilance and now ordered an Aria Organic. Could you tell me if this is less sibilant? I'm kind of allergic to S sounds and sibilance. I have not heard an Ananda Nano, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question. Some do say that the organic, depending on what source you pair it with, could have a little bit of sibilance to it. I didn't hear it that way. It sounded very natural to me. Hopefully it's not like a Nano, but again, I haven't heard a Nano. You use a Questyle M15i, so that's a dongle, if I remember correctly. I have the Questyle M18i in for review right now. It has plenty of power. Shouldn't be a problem if the M15 is as powerful as an 18. A little bit on the, it's got a little bit more warm natural tone to M18 does. I don't know what an M15 sounds like. May need to upgrade. Go with a desktop. Planars tend to respond a little bit better for that. The organic did sound better, in my opinion, on a desktop than it did on dongles, but I didn't have a Questyle at that time, so not exactly sure how all that will work out. Curious to see what you find. Tip rolling and impedance adapters should change sibilance. Yeah, you can definitely play around with that. Definitely helps with headphones. A little bit different story. Can change pads, but the pads on the organic are very hard to come by. So I would start with an amplifier change and a DAC change. Also keep in mind music that you play, tracks and stuff. If it's not really well recorded, it's not well mixed and mastered, that'll add in sibilance and cause issues also there. So there's a lot of variables that go into what causes that. As just mentioned, Leroy, I have not tried a Nano. Can't wait for the review of the Timeless 2. Yeah, it's an interesting IEM with the different filters and how they impact it. Now, the original didn't have filters, so it's interesting that they went that way. Also, some of the tuning choices. The build's very similar. The Timeless 2 might be a little bit more comfortable, but it's very similar to the original. So if you found the original uncomfortable, probably going to find the Timeless 2 to be uncomfortable as well. PDG, you're welcome. So the way that planars kind of play with different amplifiers and dongles and stuff, it's a little bit misleading because planars in general aren't really that picky as far as, you know, tonality and stuff like that. It doesn't fluctuate as much as some other driver types, but the difference is they require more power and they actually scale better when given more power. So it's kind of I find that you have to play around with different gear when it comes to planars more than you do with others. They're picky but not picky kind of thing. Good questions. I wish I had all the information that you're looking for, though. Any other questions, comments, anything like that that's on your mind and would like to discuss? Do remember that I do have a website that has some reviews on it that did not get made into video. So if you don't forget to go over there and check that out. It's called thehonestaudiophile.com. There's also various topics on there, and then you also have my gear ranking list that is down in the description of most videos, and you can go on there and check it out. I do a lot of different types of scoring than the majority of reviewers, so make sure that you read the ranking grade to understand what the grade means. And then there's also all kinds of terms and definitions and all sorts of other things that are talked about on my website as well. There's various links to that, so check those out. And I also put a link down in the description of most videos for all that. So a lot of that information will help you to kind of understand where I'm coming from as far as a reviewer. And I know most of you that are probably watching this live stream right now are aware of that. This is just for anybody who goes and watches it later on. A few things of note. I don't know if you'll be able to see it completely on the desk, but we have a couple of new products in right now. So this one here, which has the big screen, that's the FIO S15. It's a streamer. Review's going to be a little while as I don't use streamers on a regular basis, and so I'm kind of learning it and kind of exploring with it. So be patient for that review. It will come, but it's a very interesting device. And then up here, let me move my camera so you can actually see it. Get my McAllister cup out of the way. There we go. So this is a FIO K17, and it is a DAC amp. Kind of like a baby K19, but a little bit different. And that just came in a couple days ago, and I've been having fun using it. Review coming as well. This little device here, move it over a little bit more. This one here is a Doak Audio. I think it's called the K5. It's kind of like a gaming DAC amp. It's not the most powerful, but it would do okay in gaming settings. It's got tone controls and things like that. Um, this one right down here, this is a Doak Audio P1 Plus tube amp, something a little interesting and just unique, something different than most DAC amps that you're gonna have. And got, let's see here. Got a open back headphone that's going to be getting reviewed at some point here in the near future. And that's the Civga Answer. And is it the answer to a budget headphone? I guess you'll have to wait and find out. And then we also have another budget headphone, and this is another open back. This is the Kiwi Ears Ellipse. This comes in at like 60 bucks. And you'll have to find out if it's $60 is good for an open back headphone. I'm trying to think, do we have anything else lingering around close by? I don't think so. Okay, so which one looks like Aoun? The Fio? The K17, yeah, it does kind of remind me of an Aoun look, and it even has, you can't really see it on camera, but it's got like these little scales up top, kind of like the Aoun, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else. Is it reasonable to think that $100 is a limit for a single DDIM? I've heard some people saying that. No. Yeah, I think I don't really think there's a limit to a certain type of driver configuration. It really comes down to the quality of the driver and how it's implemented and how tuned it is. And then when you put a price tag on something and you limit it to a certain price point, you're pigeonholing it and saying it can't do any better. And you know, there's I've heard some really expensive single dynamic driver IEMs, and they're really, really good. And so, you know, do you wish that you could get more? And maybe it's a sense of value when, you know, if you think that you're spending more, you should have more drivers. And I think that's the wrong thinking process, you know, because you should have, it really isn't about how many drivers there are. It's really about how it's tuned and how what's inside it is configured and implemented, and what it produces versus just what the technology on the inside is. There's some very, very good single dynamic drivers that sound really good and are quite highly priced. And there's also some really high priced multi driver configurations, tri-bridge, hybrids, quad bridge, you know, you name it, that sound awful. So it's not really about how many drivers, it's about how it's tuned and implemented, in my opinion. Okay, so Fio looks like an S17 Pro. Oh yeah, the S15, the streamer. In a way, yes. It has a bigger screen, but yeah, it does look very similar. In that regard, I can see that look. Let's see. Looking to get my first headset. I've been watching a bunch of reviews and thinking about the Fio FT1 or the Sennheiser 600 that's on sale for $320 on Amazon. What would you recommend? Okay, well, you're looking at a closed back and an open back. Depends on what you need as far as closed back, or do you need an open back, or does it not matter? Then the next thing that's going to matter is what kind of tuning are you looking for. The Sennheiser HD600 is mid-forward, doesn't have as much bass as an FT1, and it is a little bit more on the neutral leaning side, even though it is too forward to be a true neutral headphone. FT1 is more aggressive and has more upper reaches, and especially it's very can be bright and hot. So if you're sensitive to a more brighter and hotter type of sound signature, you may want to stay away from the FT1. Also, the FT1 has a presentation in a soundstage that really kind of force feeds details, and they kind of they're very, very direct and distinct. And that's not to say that the FT1's a bad headphone. It's just a different type of presentation than you normally get. Also, the FT1 has a lot more bass. It's a very powerful, impactful, and engaging type of bass versus the HD 600. So where the differences really lie is in its presentation. Both of them are good headphones. One's very aggressive and can be a little too bright and hot, whereas HD 600 more forward in its mids, a little bit more natural tone and timbre and accuracy in its soundstage, is a little bit more precise but not as direct sounding, if that makes sense. Okay, so it doesn't matter to you and you like the Super Mix 4. Unfortunately, I haven't heard the Super Mix 4, so I'm not sure how that would correlate to the differences between those two. Personally, for me, I would go for the HD 600. The FT1 is I can't listen to it for very long. It's intense and aggressive to my ears, and even though it does a lot of other things really well, to me the FT1 just isn't pleasant to hear and isn't as natural sounding. Hey Dave, have you heard the AirPod Max? I have not. Pretty much if it's Apple, I haven't heard it. I'm not really in that ecosystem. The only thing that I've used for any length of time at any point in my life as Apple is the Apple computer, the iMac. I can't remember what version it is, at the church, and we have to use that for sound. And also I used Apple Music when I did a test last year for several months. Other than that, I'm not in the Apple ecosystem. Oh, and one time I used the Apple dongle and wasn't impressed. But keep in mind that wasn't using an Apple phone with the Apple dongle, and a lot of people say that makes a massive difference. And also, some people say it makes a big difference as to which version of the Apple dongle. So I'm not going to get into that argument, as I don't have an Apple device to use it on, and there you go. Carmine, thank you for showing up. It's good to see you. And hopefully that answered your question, Forever New, about Sennheiser versus the FIO, and which one to get. All right, let's see. Hey Dave, any new IEMs out there that are studio flat good for mixing and mastering? Of the ones that I currently have in for review, not really. Let me go back and look at what I have, because I don't recall every single one of them, and see if any of them stand out. Let's see. No. Maybe. No, definitely not. Of the ones that I currently have in, I wouldn't say any of the new ones that I haven't reviewed yet would be more studio neutral, or if you want to call it studio neutral flat. There are some that I have reviewed recently in the past, within the last 6 or 8 months, that you could consider in that way, but I wouldn't say anything of the current that I have. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't anything out there, and that will be coming in. That's a good question, though. All right, let's see what else we got here. So if you're looking for that, I would recommend going into my rankings list and seeing a few. I need to add a couple more fields to that list. I was thinking about this the other day of like where they, like what type of use they would be. Are they just an all around, or are they studio? Are they, bassy, or things like that, mid forward? And I need to put like a column in there and then put a description of that. That'll take a while to get in, but I'm probably going to go in and do that at some point. Let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, so Ko-Fi, what is your honest opinion on the Aria Stealth compared to the Edition XS? I haven't heard an Edition XS but once, which was at Oxpona last April, and it was for about 3 minutes. So I really can't give a comparison. I honestly can't think of much to compare it to. In my opinion, excuse me, from what stood out would be details, resolution, and tonality, and the soundstage is just way more defined. That's what kind of stood out in those 3 minutes I listened to. But again, I haven't had it on my own gear, and it's been a long time since I heard it, so I that's about all I remember. Okay, let's see. Lori, hello, my friend. Been a while. How about your Eagles? Nice to see you. Yeah, your Eagles need to take down the Chiefs, and I think they really do have a chance this year, especially with Barkley. If Barkley continues playing the way that he's been playing this whole season plus playoffs, I think you guys can take the Chiefs down, and that's coming from a Buffalo fan. So go Eagles, and I think you guys have a chance this year. All right, let's see. PDG, I would personally recommend AU and AR5000 instead of HE600. There's no sub bass on 600. I can see that, and I'm not going to disagree there. Depends on if you want bass or not bass. If you're looking a little bit more, it just kind of depends on your preference there, but that's a good recommendation. All right, let's see. Carmine, what's going on with the Canadian dollar exchange and incoming tariffs? We're seriously looking for great deals. I am, so getting very interesting of late, but they're pricey. I'm not going to get into politics here, but that is a good question. Hit me up on Discord and we can discuss it. Let's see. Thank you. If someone has $300 and wants to emphasize soundstage and how distortion would you recommend the AR5000 or the Audio-Technica R70X? I would go with R70X. I do think that R70X has a little bit better stage, and it's a little bit more even, and it's a little bit more on the neutral side, more leaning than the AR5000. Also has a little bit better details and resolution. The AR5000 is going to give you a little bit better bass and a little bit slightly warmer though. So R70X would be very good, especially on soundstage. It is wider, it's more defined, and it's more specific. Also has better depth and layering. In that price point, $300-ish. Trying to think if there's any other headphone that's open back. Give me a moment. Let's see here. There's some closebacks that you could really get a good soundstage, like imaging and placement, but they're not going to be as wide. Because you could also go with something like the Massdrop Para, which does a really good job of being very direct and distinct in its soundstage, and has really good details and resolution, but it's not going to be near as wide as an R70X. So probably the R70X is going to be, for what you're looking for, probably would be the best option. All right, let's see here. Forever New, you're welcome. Let's see, Ko-Fi. Let's see, I already answered that question. Muad, a few months ago, I tried the Audeze MM100. I don't know if you tried it yet, but I think it's the best at 500. It sounds how I expect music to sound. The MM100, let's see. So, again, I have to go back to Oxpona last year in April. That's the last time I heard it, and I can't remember if I heard that one or the 50 or 500, whatever the other model is. And I honestly don't really recall much. I was at the Audeze table several times, but I don't remember any specifics about that one. Sorry, I wish I could recall it. I honestly don't remember. All right, let's see here. Carmine, once you've experienced wide soundstage and imaging, you're hooked. When it's accurate. So there's a couple different types of soundstage that are wide and expansive, but they're not like actually natural. And so you know it can be very addictive though. Unfortunately, sometimes when headphones do wide stage, they exaggerate it and they make it way too wide, and everything sounds wide. The best headphones, in my opinion, that do soundstage are the ones that can make something sound very intimate and very close when they're that type of presentation. And then when you get that big, grand, open hall or open space, outdoor stadium type sound, they can really put you in the moment and make you feel like you're there. And things kind of, it's all about the depth, the layering and staging, plus the placement, and also about the width. But it all has to work together. And a lot of times, a headphone will do one, but not the other. So to me, it's when a headphone can do all of that together and really put you in the spot. That sounds good. But I agree, you do get hooked on soundstage, and you can get lost in the moment for sure. Good questions so far. Liking the chat. What else is on your mind? Got 14 thumbs up so far. Thank you very much for giving thumbs ups, and 20 people watching. So if you're enjoying it, don't forget to give a thumbs up if you haven't already. And we will. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Again, I do apologize for the microphone today. Not, I'm having to go off of the microphone, off of my phone, and then probably my voice also is not the best considering I've been under the weather. So, it's probably not coming across very well. I'm kind of scratchy, stuffed up. So, in your tier list, you put soft ears as F tier. Again, look at your ranking grade, and it'll explain what F tier means. F tier does not mean fail. So just keep that in mind. When you look at my ranking grade, I do it completely different than everybody else. So read the ranking grade in order to understand what it means. I did that specifically for several reasons. One, to be different, and two, because that's how my brain works. And so there you go. I did a write-up on, if you have questions about that, I did a write-up on my website about the ranking grades. The ranking grade has been updated since that write-up, but it does explain some about the tier list. Oftentimes, I've noticed this, and I do this also. Oftentimes, through life, we just assume everybody thinks the same and kind of generalize instead of actually looking at how somebody approaches things. Makes a huge difference when you actually understand where the person's coming from and doing. Hey, thank you very much for the gift, and you're very welcome for the suggestion. I look forward to hearing about your impressions of it. Hopefully it works out for you. Any other thoughts about soundstage, about gear, things like that? Okay, so need your advice for an amp under $300 to drive the 8kg K712s. Been a long time since I heard 712s. If I remember correctly, they do scale a little bit with a little bit more power. They don't require a ton of power. You're not going to want something that's probably got a little bit of high-end sizzle, as they may get a little too intense in that presentation. Under $300, do you have access to drop? Are you in the US or are you European, would be the first question that I'm going to ask. And then are you wanting to just be single-ended, balanced, pure balanced, that type of thing? A few more questions like that, and then I'll be able to give you a definitive answer. Also, do you want tube amp, solid state, that type of thing? So just give me a few details of what you're looking for. You're very welcome for the streams. Should do them more often, but it's been difficult to get it scheduled for when it works for people, things like that. Let's see. Carmine, interesting commentary on what makes you stop and actually listen to the music. I try and introduce new people to good sound and interesting music, especially if all they experience is pop music. Yeah, exactly. So if you're one, if you're just coming into like the music hobby, so the audiophile hobby, and you've only experienced top 40 music, or something like that, the average everyday type of music that you hear, it is good to introduce them to different genres of music, but try to, instead of just going straight Beethoven, Bach, or straight jazz, maybe incorporate them into some like progressive jazz, progressive classical music, because it'll have still a little bit of that, a little more bassy side of things, a little bit more of a upbeat type of presentation, and it'll catch them into realizing, hey, there's a little bit more there. Also, try to get them to hear what a quality recording sounds like, well mixed and mastered, and then after time incorporate in other genres of music that are more pure and more acoustical and maybe a little bit more slowed down, and people will tend to be more open to that. Whereas if you just force them, okay, you're going to listen to this Beethoven or this Mahler or or something like that, they're going to get bored, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's what every audiophile wants to listen to, and I don't like that type. It's a very, very good thought. I like that. And then they just kind of have to explore different genres of music, and you'll learn to kind of hear nuances throughout. All right, let's see here. Let's see. El Cubero, hi, I'm new to the channel. Hello, welcome. I like a lot your way of explaining things, and I just recently got a K11 because a gift from my girlfriend, and watched your video. Very pretty interesting. Yeah, the K11 is a interesting device for sure, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad that you find the channel to be helpful and useful. Carmine, music bingo. Music is the software, it drives the hardware, and the human experience is so very important. Absolutely. If if you're just sitting there and it's just kind of like background noise and you're not really paying attention to it, or if you are actually intently listening to it, there's so many different things that go up and through here, and enjoyment and all that. It's amazing. Have you read a review of the ADV 3BA, or the 2BA, or a VibroLabs Sierra? I haven't heard of that one. Or the Avara AV2, same kind of family. Best frequency response for music, very linear, so rewarding and correct. I haven't heard of any of those. Well, the 3BA, I have heard from ADV. I haven't heard one, but I know that they're out there. Interesting. I'll have to take a look into seeing what those are. All right, so getting back to the amp thing, I haven't gotten a response back yet. So, an amplifier, if you're able to get it and you're here in the US, I would get a Drop SMSL HO150X. It's about the most neutral and natural sounding amplifier that you can get under $300 for a solid state amp. As far as tube amps are a little bit different. And I'm not very well voiced in that, so I'm going to kind of move away from that one. Another amplifier that you could consider, which would be a DAC amp, would be like an X-Duo XA02. A very, very natural sounding. It comes in at $200, so a little bit less than yours. Doesn't have as much power as a HO150X, but the X-Duo XA02 should be readily available no matter where you are in the world. You could also, you'd have to go a little above your price point, but you could go with a FIO K9 AKM. I think that comes in around $400 now. Might be a little bit more than that. All right, let's see here. El Cubero, yeah, it came from a K3, so a little bit different. The new one feels more warm, less bright, but it's a lot more useful for my setup. I was happy to find you after that, and I wanted to let you know. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you found that the K11 review was helpful and useful. Coming from a K3 definitely would be an upgrade. Not that the K3 is, a bad amplifier, but it definitely is a little bit different of a sound, being a little bit on the warmer side and not as detailed. I'm sorry, the K11 is a little bit warmer. The K3 is a little bit more colder sounding. I apologize, swapped that up. Swizzy, I bought a JDS Labs Element 2 secondhand and noticed a slight channel imbalance. I emailed them and they got back to me next day. Completely insane customer service. Also picked up a pair of FIO FT1s. Yeah, JDS Labs is very good with the customer service. Very prompt, and they are very personal. And they're also that way in person. I have met them in person. And JDS Labs is excellent in that regard. They also ship very quickly if you order from them. And they will really take the time to get to know the customer and to understand their need, and that's what I really appreciate about JDS Labs. Dragnet, thank you very much for the gift. Appreciate it very much. Let's see. Swizzy did a paper towel dampening and upgraded cushions to a Fostex 900 pad. Insanely comfortable. I love how Headphone responds to pad changes. That's cool. I haven't heard the 900, but it's good to know that it responds to pads. Some headphones really respond well to pad swaps and some don't. It's really crazy. And then some just completely alter their sound completely, and you're just like, whoa, this is a completely different headphone. So that's interesting about that. Let's see. I've only had the Fideo X2s. I know you didn't like them at all. No, not really. As a newcomer like me, do you think I can appreciate a $300 headphone like the R70X? It's a completely different presentation than the X2HR. I think you could appreciate it. And I don't want to tell you how to spend your money, obviously. That would be your choice. But there are a lot of different options I think that you could do better than an X2HR. And I'm glad that you're exploring it. It just kind of depends on what you're seeking. But if you're trying to stay in an open back headphone, R70X definitely would be a vast improvement. Now, it's not going to be as bassy as the X2HR, but it's going to be better controlled in the treble. It's not going to be quite as forward sounding in the mids, but it's going to have a great sound stage, very good depth and layering, and it's a totally different presentation. Let's see, Luli. So all around is what I'm saying. Just a bonus. For example, the EPZ 320 defined bass and not a lingering, masking, ambiguous boom, mid-range and trebles, romantic, cohesive, and harmonious. Okay, what are we talking about here, Louis? Can you read my comment above? Oh, about the ADVs. Interesting. I'll have to check in on those. I haven't heard them. Let's see here. The AUN X7S amp is very good also. Especially, I really like the GT version, and it had a little bit more power. And to me, it was able to just bring out just a little bit more, but that's also a very good amplifier, right around $300 price point. It does have a little bit of a warmth to it, so it depends on what you pair it with, but it is a very good suggestion on Dragnet. I completely forgot about that amp. Say, Carmen, how'd your sale go? And what are you thinking for 2025? I recently sold off a small part of my vinyl collection, and I'm getting into more vintage jazz and musical scores. Hey, nothing wrong with some vintage jazz and classical musical scores. Totally enjoy those genres. Sales are going well so far. I have sold off some stuff. I'm not planning on purchasing anything. This is just to kind of clear out and make some room. In this side of the room, you guys can't see it on camera, and you don't want to see it on camera. There are just boxes all over the place, and it's just driving me nuts. And I have more over here as well, and so I'm just, I'm finally just getting rid of some stuff. If you are interested in purchasing some stuff, I'm putting it up slowly on eBay. I'm using eBay because of protections, and I can ship a lot easier that way. I know that there's other forums and other audio places to purchase things off of, but eBay makes it more available to more people. If you're interested in searching it and you're looking for various things, my username on eBay is DBS Tech Talk, so you will be able to find it that way if it's by user DBS Tech Talk. All right. Let's see. Well, as opposed to two or more people talking at the same time, no thinness or any kind of harshness to be heard, like you are talking on an airplane. Emotions come through unlike something clinical. There's a little bit of passion. It's like a large colored TV as opposed to a small black and white. It gives appetite to music and it's fun, sweet, and enjoyable. Cool. I'll have to look into those, Louis. Let's see here. Yes, AUN's a great value for the money. I do like AUN quite a bit. I'm not using it as a reference though. AUN to me always has a little too much of a colored sound, a little bit more enjoyable, a little more euphonic type of presentation. And to me, it's not exactly neutral, natural. Has tendencies, but everything that I've heard always has had a little bit too much colorization to be completely like that. Louis, if you want me to read your comment and I can't find it and I haven't read it, copy and paste it and put it back into a new comment. That way it'll cycle back through. If I've already talked about it, cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I would be great. I'm really enjoying this time that we're getting to talk today. I've missed doing live streams, and as mentioned earlier, it's kind of hard to get them scheduled for a time frame where everybody can join, and and it's just been super busy. By the way, today's choice is McAllister's Deli Tea. if you are into tea. I didn't have any coffee. I already had a ton of coffee today, so I had to take a break from that and get a little bit of something cold. Carmine, anything new from Brooklyn that you're interested in? Not yet. Actually, my tech does have some interesting stuff, but I have not gotten anything there yet, as of yet. Their Empire line's a little bit out of my price range, but I would love to hear it at some point, other than at audio shows, which it does sound fantastic, by the way. And as far as other things from Brooklyn, I'm not a Mets fan, so no. It was a bummer to see Juan Soto to go across the city to go to the Mets. My Yankees couldn't quite get the deal done, which was a bummer. Is there something in Brooklyn that I'm supposed to know about, Carmine? I'm just curious. Am I missing something there? Grotto, I think Grotto's in Brooklyn. Or are they Long Island? I don't remember. Nothing from Grotto that I'm aware of that I'm really interested in getting. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hold on, that fan is... I don't know if you could hear that on camera, but it was like squeaking. So, could be worse. You could be a Blue Jay fan. My dad's a Blue Jay fan. So, what was... Most of my mom's side of the family is either Mets or Atlanta Brave fans. And my mom was a Yankee fan, and she's like the only Yankee fan in the on her side of the family. And then my dad's a Blue Jay fan. I have no idea why, other than we lived close to Buffalo, and so Toronto's closer to New York City, so maybe that's why he likes. I don't know. Anyway, so because my mom was always a Yankee fan, and I couldn't stand watching baseball games with my grandmother, who was a Mets fan, and my grandfather, who was a Braves fan, they always would cheer them on, and it just drove me nuts. And so I wanted to be like my mom in that way, and I chose the Yankees. That's how I became a Yankees fan. Just cheered them on all the time. Used to sit and listen to John Sterling on the radio at night, and just fell in love with him. Used to dream of being a first baseman like Don Mattingly, and I don't know why I was short. I should have been second baseman, but that's all right. I wanted to be Don Mattingly for some reason. Any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? Okay. What's your opinion on streaming services? Well, so I did the video year and a half ago on streaming services, where I kind of ranked them and talked about, how what I hear when using them. And for me, streaming services are more for on-the-go listening. They're more for the for just a quick time frame. They're not really for the sit down, diagnose, and nitpick music. I do hear some differences. Now, would I be able to really do blind testing and with 100% accuracy? Probably not, but I do believe I hear a difference between downloaded music and local files versus streamed music. Is it a big significant difference? No. Is it enough to really, be like, never use it for this? No. But I do have a preference for downloaded music. And, I also have a preference for which streaming service to use. And for me personally, I use Tidal. And the reason for it is because I've used Tidal for about 6 years now. It has absolutely nothing to do with, whether or not they have MQA or FLAC or this or that. It's more, I've been using it for this long. I'm content with its UI. I'm very knowledgeable about, how to change things and where their settings are and, all that kind of stuff. And then when I do subjective listening between the different streaming services, to me, Tidal connects with me a little bit better. It sounds a little bit more natural sounding to me, to my ears. And that's the reason why I use it. I don't use it very often. And I really do try when I do my reviews to use my local downloaded music or ripped CDs. So that's my take on streaming services. They're more for portable on-the-go use. El Cubero, thank you for swinging by. He says, I have to leave. It was a pleasure to talk to you for a moment. I hope I can spend more time with you on another day and have a good live show. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope to be able to see you swing by again for another live stream. And you can always email. Down in the description is my email. Dragnet, have you reviewed any precision luxury dongles? And you're a big Blue Jay fan. Well, nothing wrong with the Blue Jays. They're a good team. Unfortunately, they have a very tough division, and your year will come back. You guys have been very competitive, but unfortunately, everybody in the division's kind of gotten competitive all at the same time. So it's really gonna be close. I think this year we're gonna be really, really fighting among all the teams in the East. Truthfully. Precision luxury dongles. No, I haven't had a chance to hear that. Pretty pricey. Kind of like Quest style, but I haven't had the pleasure yet. I want one. I want to hear one at some point. All right, let's see. What else we got? Let's see. I'm thinking about buying an Audeze LCD 2F on two phaser or the local. Or excuse me, local, the Focal Elir. What would be your pick? It's been a long time since I heard either. If I remember correctly, the Elir's a tad bit on the sibilant side, and a little bit aggressive. It's not the best at resolution, if I remember correctly. The 2F, if I remember, is not as bassy as the other LCD2s. If I remember correctly, it's a little bit more linear in the bass. I could be completely wrong here. It's been a long time since I heard a 2F. But the 2F takes quite a bit of power to drive. So I would, depending on what amplifier you have, I'd probably go with the 2F just because I'm kind of prone to sibilance. And it bothers me quite a bit when things aren't resolving. So I would probably go to the 2F, but it's been years since I heard either of them. Carmine, I think streaming is for exploring new tunes and seeing a larger music scene. And if I like something, I'll try to get a hard copy. Use it more as a tool. That's actually a really good idea. And I've done that. People recommend things. Obviously, if it's not in my library, or I just want to refresh because I don't own it, but I've heard it before. So yeah, that's actually a really good way to use streaming services. Plus also, for portable use. So I totally understand that. Z, you're welcome for the reply. And El Cubero, you're very welcome. Hey Chris, how are you doing? Nice to see you today. Yeah, the precision luxury stuff, Dragnet, they've always interested me. You always see them and you're like, wow, these things look really nice, very well built and stuff like that in pictures. So uh, it's uh, it's always been curious, but then you look at the price tag and you're like, ooh, yeah. Same thing with their DAPs. Their DAPs always look very nice, but I haven't had the opportunity yet. And I don't recall ever seeing them at an audio show, if anybody had one. Um, yeah, so also getting back to you, Dragnet, about baseball. And, I mentioned I think the East is going to be very, very competitive. Uh, Baltimore is on the rise, and I think Toronto's on the rise too. Um, and Boston is one of those teams where you have a couple good years, then you have a couple bad, couple good. So I wouldn't I'd expect them to be kind of in the running also, but they're probably going to be more of about 500 club. I think Baltimore and Toronto are going to be up on top again, especially Baltimore, and I think the Yankees are going and Tampa Bay are kind of going to be those teams on the outside looking in. Unfortunately, as much as it hurts me to say that, I think Baltimore's going to take the East this year. Um, have I ever heard of the Bowers and Wilkins P9 signature? I've heard of the P9. I don't know if it was the P9 signature or not. Never heard it. The only Bowers and Wilkins products I've heard are speakers. Um, but yeah, I've heard of it. I just haven't. I've never heard it. You're right though. There's not very many reviews of it at all. So Carmine, when you say you got rid of some of your vinyl stuff, was it just like duplicates that you had, or was it just stuff that just didn't interest you or jive with you, so you sold it off to get expand it a little bit different? Which approach did you take for cleansing your library? I'm curious about that because I've thought about getting rid of some CDs and just downloading them and saving them. Also, I was wondering, Carmine, have you ever done rips of your vinyl and save it to like a hard drive? Um, I don't know if that's even possible. I think it is. Duplicates and deads, poor pressings. Gotcha. Makes sense completely. Yeah, so HD 600 to AR 5000. I mean, they're very similar. The only difference, AR 5000 is not quite as forward. It has a little bit more bass. It is a little bit on the warmer side. 600, you get a little bit more detail resolution and a little bit more accurate spacing, but the the differences are very very small. So if you already have a 600, you're happy with it. Unless you really want more bass and a little bit more warmth, I you know that'd be the only reason. Thank you very much. Glad that you like the channel. Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do find it kind of cool that headphones right now seem to be kind of, even though a lot of the new stuff that's come out has been extremely expensive. I mean, $6,000, $8,000, and even higher. And I'm supposed to get one in for review, by the way. But anyways, I won't tell you which one though. But there are also a lot of more budget-friendly stuff that's coming out, and some of these other companies are starting to go. And we need to, get down here. And so that's nice that we're kind of getting that budget side of things filled in with some quality headphones. because there's always been a lot of mid-tier headphones and a lot of expensive stuff, and that budget side was kind of always ignored, or the stuff that was the budget stuff was just kind of like not really worth it. But now it seems like there's some actually worthy budget stuff coming in. I have not heard the Zygot Odyssey yet. Really am curious about it. It looks very interesting. All right, let's see. Carmine. As for creating digital copies of vinyl, and even my larger CDs collection, I'd have to give that some serious thought. I'm not the best on computer tech. And how's the kitty doing? Well, I have one that's over here off camera, laying on the floor, sleeping. And then there's one in the hallway. That's probably who you hear. Opie's in the hallway meowing, wanting to get in. But I can't let him in. There's way too much stuff here in there. Opie is very much, he likes to walk all over everything. So I have to be careful when he's in here. And then Simon is also in the hallway. I saw his paw sticking underneath the door. Simon's worse than Opie when it comes to walking all over things. Simon's very much a, let me pull it and see where this goes type of cat. So, but they're all doing well. Let's see here. Yeah, top tier headphones are easily on the $7,000 thing. I mean, you have the Hi-Fi Min Subswara, the new one. You have the Focal Utopia that's up there. You have a couple others that have come out. You have the final D8000s, which are, I don't think they're quite 7, but they're up there in price, and several others. And then, that doesn't even count some of the electrostats and things like that. So yeah, they're getting ridiculously priced. It's going to get difficult to buy some of those higher tier things and even review them. But technology has really come forward, and I think some manufacturers have finally started to put forth an effort in their budget side of things. And even though they're not going to completely compete, you have some things coming out that will go, do I really need to spend that $5, $6, $7, $8,000, or can I get enough to be content with $2,000 or less? Hey, Sylvan. Yeah, it's an interesting era right now that we are in headphone development. So, and I'm glad that we are. I mean, you have Meze coming out with, like the 105. You have Kiwi ears jumping in with actually some quality headphones right in the less than $100 market. You have Fio jumping into that market. Of course, Hi-Fi Min's been in that market for a while, but now there's some better competition coming along from some of these other companies. I think Shanling released one. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard that. So you have some competition that is kind of making things challenging for these kind of strongholds to go, oh, wait a minute. We can't just keep on doing the same old, same old. Carmine, I've still what? IEMs, on the other hand, I think are starting to even out a little bit. You're starting to see the budget side of things get good enough, and then that middle tier is kind of starting to see it get really competitive, and then the higher tier is being pushed by that middle tier and by that budget tier. And it seems like there's more lesser price stuff that's pushing the higher end stuff in the IEM world, and I'm glad to see that the headphones are starting to catch up a little bit. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so Carmine got the Hi-Fi Man 400i for less than 160, and they're pretty decent. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a starter planar coming in, if you can get it for 150, I think you can actually get it for less than that now. It's a decent headphone. Now, is it going to compete versus it? No, but for something that's 5 years old now, or pushing 5 years, it's a pretty solid little headphone. Um, there's some pretty good stuff from back in the day that still competes for sure. And I think that mantra of, well, it's new, it's more expensive, so it's got to be better. That's something that unfortunately we just kind of get because our curiosity gets in the way. Unfortunately, we allow that to kind of play on us too much, and we tend to just kind of write off the older stuff. But when you actually go back and listen to it, if you still have it lingering around, you're like, it was decent when I got it, and it's still pretty decent now. And I've had experiences of that quite a bit actually. A lot of times when I do comparisons, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this one. Is it true that the Meze 105 Air is not that far behind the 109 Pro? Different presentations, but yeah, it's not really that huge of a difference. Um, the 109 is more technical, but also, in my opinion, the 109 isn't quite as fun and quite as engaging to listen to as the 105. Um, they're they're similar-ish, but different-ish, and enough to be separated out. Carmine, whenever I go to my hi-fi dealer store, I go straight to the used room looking for deals. Yeah, exactly. Go in there, look around, see what they have, and you're like, oh wow. And then if you don't see anything, go dream a little bit in the demo rooms, and then listen to see what's out there. I mean, there's treasures all over the place, and and there's there's nothing wrong with buying used. There's nothing wrong with buying something. Hey, cat, no, come here, come here. Here we go. This one doesn't get on camera very often. This is Milo, and he's a licker. But anyways, yeah, there's deals all over the place, and there's nothing wrong with buying a product that's a year, 2, 3, 4 years old. Um, so I often purchase things used. Okay, so let's see. Under says I just got the Afu P7. Heard good things about the P5, and it is an upgrade from my Zero Red. It's just your second IM. Cool. I have not heard the P7. P5 was pretty decent, and cool. I'm glad that you enjoy it, and you're just getting started. 2 IEMs, and let's see. You know nothing. I know nothing. Says, do you know anything about the JVC XP EXT1 Exofield theater system? It's a few years old, or are you now? Are there better, newer alternatives? Um, I know nothing about that. I am not a home theater person at all. Out in the living room, out that way, I have a Klipsch soundbar and subwoofer set up, and in here for my little TV here, I have a Thone and Vander soundbar and subwoofer setup, and that's it. I have no experience when it comes to home theater. So yeah, that's not something that I have experience with at all. Sorry, but I'm a headphone and IEM guy with a few speakers here and there. It's actually a wireless headphone system to replace speakers. Again, I have no experience. I've never even heard of it, so sorry. Where'd you go, cat? Hang on. He went underneath. All right. Here, stay here, okay? You don't need to be going underneath. This is what he does whenever I pick him up and hold him. Instantly starts to exfoliate my fingers. He's a very loving cat, which is interesting. I'm about the only person that he will allow to hold or even be close to. Not even my wife does he really do this with. He's definitely my cat. And he's not very friendly to other people. But he does like me. All right, let's see. Rode NTH 100s are very good. Thanks for the advice. You're very welcome, Sylvan. I'm glad that you enjoy the Rode NTH 100s. I totally agree. I think they're an excellent monitor and have very good natural tone and timbre. Kitty, is this how we're going to do it all afternoon? As you can see. We literally could do a whole video of just holding him, and this is what he would do the whole time. Fred, yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better, Dave. Do you still have high marks for the BG VP DMA after having them for a while? Yeah, actually, I do. My opinion hasn't changed. DMA is excellent at IEM, and highly recommend it. I think a lot of people would enjoy it for what it is. And if I try pulling it away, he will wrap his arms around me and pull it tighter. And he'll even like put his teeth on it a little bit, just to kind of hold it in place and be like, nope, you're not going anywhere. And, just to clarify, I did take a shower today. So, yeah. All right. There you go. All right, let go. Let go. Thank you. But yes, I am feeling better. Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate that. Still have a little bit of a cough and some nasal going on, but definitely on the road to recovery. Able to function. Brain is not near as foggy and hazy as it used to be, and my eyes aren't as cloudy as they were. My eyes were just bothering me something fierce for several days. So definitely doing better. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left here. I know I got a slightly late start on this as I couldn't find my phone and couldn't get it set up. And so I had everything else all set up, and I was like, I'm going to have this view, and I wanted to go into landscape mode, and apparently I set it up wrong on YouTube because YouTube requires which direction you want it, and so that's the reason why we're in this portrait mode. But hey, it's working out. So, anyways, I think that we're in the golden age of music. You can experience just about everything that's ever been recorded, so choose wisely. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of like new genres coming along. You know, things. It's probably, if you're a songwriter, seems like it'd be a little bit difficult to come up with topics and versions and things like that because you know there's a lot of songs out there. But you can choose from pretty much anything that interests you. Um, there's also, you have so many types of genres of music. Also, you have a lot of different styles of writings and styles of presentation. Tons of different artists out there. And then on top of that, you have all the gear. Kitty, those are cables not meant for you to play with. Uh, um, there's all sorts of um, all sorts of gear to be able to hear it on. Yeah, I do think that we're kind of in that golden era, so to speak. Nico, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I very much to see you again. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't checked out Nico's YouTube page, swing on over there. He's got all kinds of techie stuff that I can't talk. I have no knowledge about, and he can answer all kinds of things. So Nico knows tech. Check out his channel. Um, let's see here. Z, what would you recommend in the $600 price range could be used secondhand? I'm asking because it's a rare opportunity to speak with someone experienced in almost face-to-face way. All right, Zaj, I don't remember what we were talking about. Okay, the 105s. So at about the $600 price point for headphones, um, keeping it an open back. Let's see here. There's all sorts of options in that price range for $600, $700 if you go used. Um, Depends on kind of what you're looking for sound wise. I mean, you have like the Allo S5X, which is kind of like tuned for a Dolby Atmos type sound, so you get a really interesting sound stage. Of course, you have hi-fi mins. Um, you can find all kinds of things used. I would recommend going to my gear rank list, excuse me, and then checking out the review, and because without knowing exactly what you're looking for when it comes to more like types of music or presentation wise that you're looking for, I wouldn't be able to give you a definitive right now off the fly without taking a ton of time. Um, Especially because you could go used. There's so many options or opportunities. All right. Thomas, have you tried the KN RU6? I have not. That is actually one I've really, really wanted to get in many a time. I just haven't had the opportunity. Um, Fred, sorry if this question was asked already, but are you able to give preview of IEMs you will be reviewing in the near future? Thank you again. I think you're one of the best at reviewing. Thank you very much, Fred. The next IEM coming up for review is going to be the 7 Hertz Timeless 2, and that one will be this upcoming week. It was supposed to be this past week, but I got sick. As far as others, I'm not exactly sure. I can tell you some of the stuff that's on the schedule. I just don't know exactly when it's going to come out. So IEM wise, excuse me, cat hair. All right, so some other IEMs that are in for review, I just don't know exactly when the schedule is going to be for them. We have the Tri i3 Mark III, FIO. Hang on. There is a FIO, which is is it the FH? I gotta find it. I went out of order. Sorry. It's one of the 19s. It's the cheaper one. I'll get to it on the list. All right, let's see what else we got. Dunu Kima 2. We have the Tin Hi-Fi C2, the Muse Hi-Fi East 6, the Juzzier Butterfly 61T, Orvetti Lowmaster, Orvetti Dynabird, NF Audio RA05, NF Audio RG15, Orvetti OD200, the CVJ Aria, the Chimera Celeste Wyvern Abyss, Let's Shore S12 Pro 24. That's a special edition. It's been discontinued. I'm probably not going to do a full review on it, but I might give some thoughts in like a post or something, just because that one's no longer available at all. I do have a Fio, but it's not listed. Oh, here it is. Fio FH19. There we go. All right. Let's see. Hey, I see Intuit has swung into here. What up, Dave? How are you doing, Mr. Intuit Reviews? Good to see you. Hi-Fi-Man Aria Stealth Direct for Hi-Fi-Man now is less than $600. All right, well, if that's the $600 one, I recommend that one for Mr. Z. So Hi-Fi-Man Aria Stealth, if you can get that for $600, absolute steal of a headphone. All right, let's see. Carmine, both you and the kitty cat have a great afternoon. Got to go shovel the driveway. Have a great week. Hey, enjoy the snow there, Carmine. It's got to be one of the joys of living in Canada. All right. Let's see. Thomas, getting Hype 4 was the first review I watched on your channel. After nearly a year, getting it soon in a week or two. Keep up the great work. Awesome, Thomas. Hype 4 is a very good headphone. Or IEM, excuse me, and look forward to hearing your impressions of it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I have. All right, let's see here. Carmine, have fun shoveling the snow, and can't think of any other headphones in $600 price point off the top of my head that are on sale, so to speak, or used. But if you come across any and you have questions, feel free to ask them in a comment, and I'll try to respond as best as possible. All right. I told my wife that 3 o'clock was going to be kind of where I wanted to cut off. I was about 2 minutes late logging on, so I'm going to give you a little bit of overtime. So if you have any final questions or thoughts, I do appreciate them, and hit me up and real quick here for the last couple of minutes, and we'll knock them out fast. No, nothing. Surely there's some questions or comments floating around for the last couple of moments. Who wants to be the last question? Make it a great one. Make it a good one. Make it worth it. All right, so here we go. Do you still like the 660 S2 as much? Yes. 660 S2s, they are literally right behind me, and I do use them pretty much every day. Really do enjoy the 660 S2. Excellent headphone. And Dragnet, you have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much for swinging by. So yes, 660 S2 will end on that. I use it pretty much every day, and thoroughly do enjoy it. Thank you for everybody that came by. Thank you for the donations. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the great comments and having fun. And we need to do this more often. I know I say that every single time, but we will catch up with you all later. Thank you again for all of your stuff. Could I review more DACs and DAPs if possible? Yes, DACs definitely are in the works. DAPs are kind of difficult to review, but I'll definitely put that on. Could you and thank you very much again for everybody swinging by. You all have a blessed Sunday, and we'll chat next time. And remember to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.